So in 1977, NASA sent a spacecraft named Voyager out into interstellar space with some pictures and recordings on it in hopes that it would one day be found by ETs. It also includes a letter by Jimmy Carter, and it's not too long, so I'll just read it to you in case you haven't heard this yet. It says, this Voyager spacecraft was constructed by the United States of America. We are a community of 240 million human beings among the more than 4 billion who inhabit the planet Earth. We human beings are still divided into nation states, but these states are rapidly becoming a single global civilization. We cast this message into the cosmos. It is likely to survive a billion years into our future, when our civilization is profoundly altered and the surface of the Earth may be vastly changed. Of the 200 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy, some, perhaps many, may have inhabited planets and spacefaring civilizations. If one such civilization intercepts Voyager and can understand these recorded contents, here is our message. This is a present from a small distant world, a token of our sounds, our signs, our images, our music, our thoughts, and our feelings. We are attempting to survive our time so we may live into yours. We hope someday, having solved the problems we face, to join a community of galactic civilizations. This recording, this record represents our hope and our determination and our goodwill in a vast and awesome universe. Signed, Jimmy Carter, President of the United States of America, the White House, June 16th, 1977. So anyway, my question is, does the Federation have standards and obligations for membership the way NATO and the European Union have? And if so, can you say how close or far Earth is from meeting these requirements for to join the Federation?
One of the necessities would indeed be what the Jimmy Carter person would have wrote down there in the idea of having a one planetary unitary civilization. For example, doesn't necessarily have to be what you consider one world governance. Sense of having one world dictatorship is perhaps the current Illuminati government is aiming at, but the idea of having achieved unity, at least on a cultural level, of a common understanding of no more warring idea, that there's no more conflict in terms of open war between any particular group on Earth, so what you might consider a crime reduction. At least to the point where you're having something like organized crime, if this would have subsided. It's still possible to have what you consider a monetary system, but not the way you're currently using it. The idea of your so-called banking system that creates to a large degree the poverty. One of the reasons previously as there has been the back and forth between the Federation and the Empire to a very oversimplified idea of back and forth of both of them basically wanting to inhabit Earth and to include it in their reigns. And again, the star-seeding idea to a large degree you can look at to see the individuals that have come to your planet with this mission of altering in the direction of becoming more something like what the Federation would anticipate as a pristine membership, which might still take a few centuries until you reach this point, but greatly depends on you. It's unlikely that it's happening what you consider in your lifetime, but doesn't mean that you can't have contact in your lifetime to create. You can be altering your course more and more with open contact, but it's unlikely that you will reach the point where you can apply what you're considering for membership, as you have countries that can apply for membership in what you mentioned previously on your planet. You don't necessarily need one world language, for example, but the ability to communicate at least with beings outside of your world in a telepathic sense can certainly be very enhancing.
Okay, thank you.
Something like the poverty, the gap between the rich and the poor would also have to be close to a certain degree. It's something, for example, that one of the ideas of the Jesus person bring forward, or it has been previously shared to various incarnations of what you considering prophets or teachers in a religious sense, or political entities such as the Karl Marx person bring forward the idea of having a general concept of unification of people under a more economically balanced system where something like prosperity for all, or what you consider universal healthcare, etc., is quite possible, which you could achieve from your own standards right now if you would make the correct alterations.
I see. Do you personally have any general advice for the human species on Earth that might help us learn to, so to speak, live together and survive our time so we may live into yours?
We don't necessarily interfere with people in your world to the degree that we make course alterations. The idea of implementing technology would perhaps be very useful. Not the idea of having it take your planet over in the artificial intelligence, but sharing the technology that you already have with everybody. The nuclear energy is perhaps dangerous. It can be very useful. This is one of the most advanced forms of energetic exchange on your planet. It's certainly more recommendable than using what you're considering fossil fuels. If you would completely have something like an energy revolution, that would be very useful for you. If you would use more solar energy especially. It's much better than just having solar panels for individual people as you're using it now. You could, for example, send various satellites that collect solar energy that could be implemented in your world and make almost all your fossil fuels a thing of the past. But when it comes to the weapon arsenal, we would certainly recommend all of your countries to stop what you're considering the current trumps of war that are going on in various areas of your world, particularly in the Middle East, of course, but also other areas where you're threatening with nuclear attacks. So if all countries would get rid of at least what you're considering weapons of mass destruction, that would certainly be very useful. If you wish to survive to a certain degree where you can have something like a civilization that's up for membership.
Yeah, that's all very good advice, and I hope I do see that in my lifetime. But anyway, Jimmy Carter is still alive. He's 93 and does have an email address where people can reach him. I know you don't necessarily speak for the Federation, but if you would care to provide any reply to his letter or whatever, I'll send his people a copy of it. Obviously, I don't know if they'll forward it to the man himself, but I'll, at least make it available to him. Is there anything you want to say to him?
He's very much more aware of what's really going on out here than what he has shared publicly in this particular juncture of time. He might not have been fully aware when he said those words, perhaps more than he would publicly admit, but by now he is much aware of existence of higher evolved races and species out in the cosmos anyway. Mostly a great thank you for his idea of bringing about something like unity. The United States has certainly played a certain role in the idea of unification through various diplomatic interactions with various countries on your planet that have previously been in conflict with each other, not always to the perhaps best outcome or even the best attempt, but at least it was the country that brought the whole concept of universal human rights to the table more than any other. So that's something that he also, during his what you consider time in office, has certainly brought to a new level. So congratulations for that, but there's obviously much more to be done, and there are also many things that this person has not yet understood, but there's not necessarily a word that I want to bring forward to him, as he's currently not in what you're considering office. So I would just send him a thank you letter for his best attempt and his service to the good of all, or at least the good of your species.
All right. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I'll send your reply to his people, and hopefully they'll forward the message to him.